Denvax. Dendritic cell therapy.
Mr. Stephen White came from UK and he lives near Liverpool and Manchester, in between Liverpool and Manchester.
I live in a small town called St. Helens.
And he was referred to me by one of his friends who is a surgeon in Chennai. And then we started his treatment for GBM, WHO grade 4, where he was earlier operated upon. And we started in February 2017.
Cycling is my kind of favoured sport. I got into that from a good friend of mine who again sadly passed away from abdominal cancer. I work for a great global company, Lafarge-Holcim. I've been married now for 17 years. I have a wonderful wife, Catherine. I have 2 young children. We always, had some great holidays and, enjoyed family life as much as we could. Cycling is my kind of favoured sport. I was 43 when my life changed. This was July 2016. I took my wife, it was our anniversary. I took my wife over to Belfast in Ireland for a long weekend break. And we went on the Friday. We had a great day out on the Friday, some nice food. And then on the Saturday morning, early in the morning, around 7 a.m, whilst in bed, I suffered a initial seizure. And then quickly followed from that, I had a second seizure. So my wife was obviously concerned, wondering what was going on, very scared. And then eventually the ambulance was called and I was taken to Belfast Royal in the ambulance. During the ambulance journey I suffered a third seizure, at which point my lungs collapsed. So when I got into the hospital I was put into an induced coma for just over 1 day and placed in intensive care unit. And they discovered the mass on my brain, on my left temporal lobe. But at the time, they weren't too concerned with the tumour diagnosis at that moment. They were more concerned about keeping me alive in terms of the seizures and the collapsed lungs. After the initial diagnosis and recuperation in Belfast, I returned to England, to the Walton Centre in Liverpool, where I had resection craniotomy on the tumour, which was that was on the 5th of August in 2016. I had a fantastic, amazing brain surgeon called Andrew Broadbelt, and he did a fantastic surgery, removed around about 95% of the tumour, and then the fight or the battle started. I then commenced the standard treatment of care, which is basically all the NHS in the UK could offer, which was chemotherapy and radiotherapy following on from the surgery. And I did 30 sessions of radiotherapy combined with chemotherapy over 6 weeks. So 5 days a week for 6 weeks, which was pretty tough. I felt pretty low at that point. I'd put on a lot of weight. I was really struggling with tiredness and fatigue. I had a hair loss and a lot of weight with the steroids. Feeling pretty rubbish, to be honest.
When a diagnosis of a cancer is made, patient and his family feel as if heavens have fallen on their head. and they feel gloom, darkness, and helplessness, and they feel that whatever they do, they may not succeed. At other point of time, they will feel that they will be able to win the race. They will come out of this. But they are completely and totally absorbed in fighting cancer.
In January of this year, we had a meeting again with my consultants in the UK, and they basically told me that the chemotherapy that I was currently taking was unlikely to have any impact on my tumour. So this news was quite, sort of tough. It was kind of hoping that the chemotherapy and radiation would be effective, but the reality was the scans weren't showing any great improvements, and we was kind of stuck. It was kind of a brick wall in terms of treatment in the UK. I bumped into a friend of mine who is an Indian doctor who had previously operated and transplanted my good friend Steve Prescott, MBE, and he'd been kind enough to do some research for us in terms of what possible treatment options we could have outside of the standard care that we could get in England with the NHS. And this was where my friend had started talking about dendritic cell therapy, at which point I didn't really know a lot about. I'd seen research and things on the internet about dendritic cell therapy, but I didn't really know a lot about it. So we was considering then this option to have the dendritic cell therapy, albeit we knew it would have to take place in India rather than in the UK because it wasn't approved. Treatment via the NHS was not an option currently. We went over to Chennai, to Apollo, registered there as an outpatient and had all new scans, full body scans, MRIs on the brain, met some fantastic consultants there, to a brain surgeon there and also an oncologist who was looking after us. And this was all with the intention now of the pre-work to commence the dendritic cell therapy via Denvax.
Mr. White was given a nod from one of his friend who wanted him to see that he is alive. So he referred him because he was his friend, not as his patient. So, but because he was in Apollo, they asked me to do dendritic cell therapy in Apollo Hospital, Chennai. And we conducted the total protocol of collection of blood sample and giving him doses in Chennai only.
After we'd had all the scans and pre-work and assessments, they concluded that from that I was a viable candidate to receive dendritic cell therapy, and had the bloods taken, and then I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later and administered my first infusion down in Chennai.
Then we started his treatment for GBM, WHO grade 4, where he was earlier operated upon, and we started in February 2017. Thereafter, with repetitive scans, we are finding that the disease has regressed substantially. Now we are not quite clear that there is any disease left or not.
I would say after infusion number 2, for some reason, I suddenly felt a whole world better. My physical appearance transformed, I would say. My physical ability, I noticed, like cycling, etc. Even with all the travel, I just felt like a new person. Everybody I came into contact with was saying, "Steve, wow, I've never seen you looking as well." You know, I'd lost nearly 3 stones in weight, and I genuinely felt and looked better than I have done in years.
So when we do halfway treatment plan, how we will have full results? The results will only come when you have a complete treatment plan. A complete treatment plan, as I have already said, is to include immune therapy or immune system in oncology. We are doing surgery, we are doing chemotherapy, we are doing radiation. That may or may not solve the problem of cancer. It may be a short-term solution, it may be a long-term solution, but we are not very sure. To make ourselves sure that we have done a complete treatment plan, we should include immunotherapy, basically dendritic cell-based immunotherapy or T-cell based immunotherapy, to make a life completely free of disease.
I had my last scan down in Chennai just 3 weeks ago, I think it was around about the 10th of October, 11th of October, and I was surprised, amazed, delighted that it showed even further regression, again by over a third again of whatever was left from the radiation, treatment, surgery, etc. Swelling, edema, whatever was there, as again shown, as I say, further regression, to the point at which my oncologist at Apollo Hospitals was actually in two minds whether whatever's left now is either disease or, in his view, perhaps not even disease, just swelling, damage from surgery, etc. So this couldn't have been any better news at this point, you know, and you know, I think I put it hugely down to the dendritic cell treatments I've received.
But my whole ambition is this therapy should become widely available, because there are so many sufferers world over. He has spent more money coming to India than what he is paying for cell therapy.
It's true. It's true. I think this is my 14th trip to India just this year. So I feel now I'm Indianized, as my good friend who originally got me to come over to India laughs about that. I'm used to the culture now. I think it's an amazing place. I managed to bring my wife, my little boy, in August to Delhi to witness and experience Delhi as a city. Amazing place, and you know I felt the strength and I would say, you know, much love from people in India, and people praying for us and trying to help, and just a wonderful community of people to be around. The treatment I've received from Denvax has been fantastic.
He is maintaining his perfect health. He is doing all his activities. He is doing much more than what we normal people do. Like he is doing a cycling which is around 200 miles a day, which is probably even me cannot even think of that. So otherwise all his activities are perfectly fine, and we are very, very happy for his health, and he has taken all the pains to come from UK every time for his disease, for his treatment plan.
You know, I feel lucky, humbled, and extremely fortunate that our paths have crossed via, I say, a friend, and I truly believe that this is the reason why I'm doing so well today, through the expertise of this fantastic doctor, and myself and my family will be forever indebted.